All right, this is a lesson on graphing a line by first finding its slope and y-intercept. And so the directions will say graph the line by finding its slope and y-intercept. Now, what's interesting about these directions is this, or this problem is this. You'll be given the equation. So let's look at the first example. So the first example you have x plus 3y equal negative 12. All right, so we have that example. All right, now you want to graph that line. So notice it's a linear equation, right? So this is a linear equation. So we know that when we graph a linear equation where we have x and y, we're going to get a line. So we're going to get this line. Okay, now remember in a previous lesson, you know about the idea of that slope-intercept form. So notice you want to use the slope-intercept, right? Slope and y-intercept. So we need to transform. So for each of those, you're going to transform the equation. You're going to transform the equation into slope-intercept form. Okay, slope-intercept form. Now remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. And so I'm going to rewrite this over. So remember, when you get in that form, the coefficient of x is your slope, and then b is your y-intercept. Okay, that constant is your y-intercept. All right, so let's remind ourselves how to get y by itself. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is isolate that term that has the variable y. So I want to keep this by itself for right now. All right, so let me go ahead and write this over. So x plus 3y equal negative 12. So I want to get this by itself. So that means I want to get rid of this x. All right, so this is a positive x. So to get rid of that, I'm going to subtract x from both sides, just like that. All right, and then we combine like terms. X minus x is 0. Those are opposites. X and the negative x are opposites. You get 0. 0 plus 3y is 3y equal, now these are not like terms because this does not have the variable x in it, but I am going to rewrite it in descending order. So I'm going to put the variable first. So you have negative x minus 12. So that's where I'm at. Okay? All right, now the next step, remember you want to get y by itself. So the next step is to divide both sides by 3. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3, and then I'm going to go ahead and reduce. So when I reduce, I get 3 divided by 3 is 1. 1 times y is y equal. All right, now at this point, this is what you need to do. You need to notice the numerator has two terms, a negative x and a negative 12. You need to take each of those terms and divide it by 3. So you're going to write this as two fractions. So you can say negative x divided by 3 minus 12 divided by 3. Okay? And so now some students get a little confused with this, but we're going to have to simplify this and this as well. All right, so I want you to notice that negative x divided by 3, remember there's no number there that's understood to be a 1, right? So I want you to notice that negative x divided by 3 is a negative 1/3 x. They mean the same thing. So negative 1/3 x. All right, that's important to see that. And then negative 12 divided by 3 here is a negative 4. All right, and so now you have this in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form. And so the next thing you have to do, remember you want to graph the line, so you got to find the slope and the y-intercept. So the next thing you have to do is find the slope and the y-intercept. So the slope, remember, is a coefficient of x. So whatever you multiply an x by, so the slope is negative 1/3. That's why it was important you put a 1 right here. So negative 1/3, and the y-intercept, which is b. So your y-intercept is negative 4. Okay, not positive 4, negative 4. Okay, negative 4. That's important. Is that constant? All right. So your slope is negative 1/3, and your y-intercept's negative 4. Now, again, some of you will say, well, I see a plus sign here, but I don't see a plus sign here. I just want to remind you, remember, y equal negative 1/3 x minus 4 means the same thing as saying y equals negative 1/3 x plus a negative 4. So now you see the plus right here. So remember, add the opposite. You change the subtraction to addition, so you add the opposite. So this is your b right here. Okay, negative 4. All right, so let's go ahead and graph it, and you know how to graph this. All right, so this will be number 1 right here. That'll be the graph of number 1. So number 1, let's go ahead and write the information out. I know the slope is negative 1/3, and I know the y-intercept is negative 4. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So remember, to graph a line, you need 2 points. So you know the y-intercept, which is one of the points, is negative 4. So remember, slope is rise over run. So my slope is negative 1/3, right? Okay, now remember, since the slope is negative, the line's going to fall, so keep that in mind. All right, so to graph a line, I need 2 points. I know one of the points is this y-intercept, so negative 4. So I'm going to plot a point at negative 4. From that point, I'm going to use the slope. Rise over run. So my rise is a negative 1, right? So remember, rise, go up, down, run, go right, left. So since my rise is negative 1, I'm going to go down 1 from this point. Go down 1, and my run's a positive 3, so I go to the right 3. 1, 2, 3, and there's your point. And then all you do is draw your line, and you're done. That's the line, okay? Now, sometimes they'll ask you to label the points, so make sure you label them when asked to do so. So this point here, so remember to label points, if you need to, start at the origin and then go to the point. So notice that this point is right below the origin. So that's going to be 0. See, I didn't go to the right, left anywhere. I went straight down. So that means x is 0, and my y value is negative 4. Over here, to get to that point, I started the origin. I went to the right 3, and then down 5. So I'll be 3, negative 5. Okay, and that was it. That's very simple, right? So just be careful when you get to this point right here, because you are going to have to rewrite this into 2 fractions. All right, and remember, see how some of this right here may have confused some of you. So it helps to think of this as a negative 1. So negative 1/3 times x. And now you know the slope very well now. Slope is negative 1/3. Okay? All right, that's number 1. Let's look at number 2. So here's number 2. All right, so that's the equation for number 2. So you have this linear equation, and you have negative 3x plus y equal negative 5. And remember, you want to graph this line. You want to graph the line by finding its slope and y-intercept. All right, so we got to put this in slope-intercept form. So remember, we got to transform the equation into slope-intercept form. Okay, into y equals mx plus b. So we're going to get y by itself. Now this is not that bad, because notice the coefficient of y is a positive 1. So all we have to do, this is an easy one, isn't it? All we have to do is bring that term negative 3x to the other side. So we're going to add 3x to both sides. And when I combine like terms, these are opposites. The negative 3x and the positive 3x is 0. 0 plus y is y equal. And then let's put the x first. So we get 3x minus 5. That one was simple. So right away, I know the slope. So remember, the slope is a coefficient of x. So the slope is 3. And the y-intercept, I'm going to put b. The y-intercept is negative 5. But remember, that's the y-intercept, right? That's the y-intercept. And then all you do is graph the line. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So there's number 2. So number 2, you know the slope is 3, positive 3, and you know that the y-intercept is the negative 5. So remember, to graph a line, you need 2 points. So I know one of them. One of them is that y-intercept. So my y-intercept's at negative 5, right here. And my slope is a positive 3. So I know that since the slope is positive, my line's going to rise. So the slope, remember, is rise over run. So that's 3 divided by 1, right? Slope is 3. So 3 divided by 1. So my rise is a positive 3, and my run's a positive 1. So from this point, I'm going to go up 3. Since my rise is positive, go up 3. 1, 2, 3. And since my run is positive 1, I go to the right 1. 1, 2, 3. And into the right 1. And then there's your other point. And so now you have your line. So you draw your line, and that's the graph of that linear equation. So remember, to graph a line, you need 2 points. All right. Now remember, when you actually draw the line, all those points in that line, see, you have an infinite number of points, right? So there's an infinite number of points in that line. You use these two to help you draw the other points. All right. Okay, that was number 2. So number 2 is fairly simple, not difficult at all. And the reason for that, just to remind you, is because the coefficient of y was already a 1. So that's why that one was a simple one. All right, let's look at number 3. So number 3, we have this. All right, so here's number 3. So remember, I want to graph this equation using the slope and y-intercept. So I need to change this to slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. So I can get y by itself. All right, so we're going to isolate this term here. So that means I want to get rid of this 2x. So let's go ahead and subtract 2x from both sides, just like that. And then combine like terms, 2x minus 2x is 0. 0 minus 10y is a negative 10y. Okay, so be careful. It's not 10y, it's a negative 10y. Equal, and then negative 2x plus 30. All right, so those are not like terms, so don't, this has an x, this is not. So that's a constant, that's a variable expression, variable term. All right, now the next thing you're going to do is to get y by itself, right? So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this over. And when I do that, I need to get y by itself. So right now, multiplying y by negative 10, the opposite is to divide both sides by negative 10. So it looks just like this, okay? Now let's reduce. Negative 10 divided by negative 10 is 1. 1 times y is y. Equal. Now remember, just like we saw a while ago, you're going to rewrite this as 2 separate fractions because you want, remember, y equals mx plus b. You want to write it as 2 terms, okay? So you want to write it as 2 fractions. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So the first one, you're going to say negative 2x divided by negative 10. This divided by this, okay? Plus 30 divided by negative 10, okay? All right, now we got to simplify as much as possible. That's important. So y equals, now let's think about negative 2 tenths. Do y'all agree, I'm sorry, negative 2 divided by negative 10. Do y'all agree, first of all, a negative divided by negative is a positive? So negative 2 divided by negative 10 is equivalent to 2 tenths, right? But I can reduce this. So 2 and 10 are both divisible by 2. So that's going to be 1/5. So this becomes 1/5 x, okay? And then a positive 30 divided by negative 10 is a negative 3. All right, and so now we know the slope. The slope is positive 1/5, and the y-intercept is negative 3. Okay? All right, now, so let's go ahead and graph this. So this is number 3. So remember number 3, the slope is a positive 1/5, and the y-intercept is negative 3. All right, so remember to graph a line, you need to know 2 points. I know the y-intercept, so that's one of my points, is at negative 3. Okay? Now I know that my slope is positive, so the line's going to rise, right? It's going to rise. And I know that the slope is rise over run, and so that's 1 divided by 5. So my rise is positive 1, and my run is positive 5. All right, and so now I can find the other point. From this point, I'm going to rise 1, positive 1, and then I'm going to run positive 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there's the other point, and then you just draw your line, and you're done. Okay, just like this. Not difficult at all, right? Very simple. Now let's go ahead and label these, though, just in case you're asked to label. So remember how to do that. So this point that's on the y-axis, this y-intercept, the coordinates are 0, negative 3. So 0, negative 3. This point here, to get to that point, I start at the origin. I go to the right 5, and then down 2. So 5, negative 2. And that's it. That's all you do. Not difficult at all. just remember, though, when you get to this point right here, you have to break it down to two fractions. So you have to think carefully as you simplify all this process. All right, so that's number 3. Let's look at number 4. All right, so in number 3, we have 3x minus 9y equal negative 18. So I want to graph this line using slope and intercept, y-intercept. So I need to rewrite this in slope-intercept form. Okay, so I get a y by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of this x term right here. Okay, so notice that's a positive 3x, so I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. All right, so 3x minus 3x is 0. Those are opposites. So 0 minus 9y is a negative 9y. So be careful, that's negative 9y. Equal, and then this becomes negative 3x minus 18. Okay, now let me go ahead and rewrite this over. And the next thing I'm going to do to get y by itself is I'm going to divide both sides by negative 9, just like that. Okay, and so then when I reduce, negative 9 divided by negative 9 is 1. 1 times y is y, equal, and then you're going to rewrite this as two separate fractions. So I have negative 3x divided by negative 9, and then minus 18 divided by negative 9. Okay? Now let's go ahead and simplify this negative 3 divided by negative 9. So remember, negative 3 divided by negative 9 is the same as 3 divided by 9, which is reduced is 1/3. So I get 1/3, so y equals 1/3 x. And then negative 18 divided by negative 9 is a positive 2. All right, so my slope is the coefficient of x, which is 1/3, and my y-intercept is a positive 2. And so now when you go ahead and you graph the line, so notice this is number 4. So the slope is 1/3, and the y-intercept is 2. So to graph a line, I need 2 points. So here's your y-intercept, so that's where the graph crosses the y-axis at 2. And then remember, the slope is rise over run, which in this case is 1/3. So my rise is a 1, and my run is a 3. So since my rise is a positive 1, I go up 1, and my run's a positive 3, I go to the right 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and there's your other point, and then you just go ahead and draw the line through those 2 points. It's a very simple process, not difficult at all. And let's go ahead and label those. So this y-intercept right here is 0, 2. And then this point right here, sorry, the origin, go to the right 3 and then up 3. So that's 3, 3. All right, so that's number 4. Not a difficult problem, right? Very, very simple concept. All right, let's look at one more, number 5. All right, so number 5, you have 3x plus 2y equal negative 8. So you have this linear equation, and you want to graph this linear equation by finding the slope and the y-intercept. So the thing you're going to do is you're going to transform this into slope-intercept form. So remember, slope-intercept form. And so again, slope-intercept form, you're going to solve for y. So y equals mx plus b. And so the coefficient of x will be the slope, and then b is your y-intercept. Okay? And so let's go ahead and get y by itself. So let's go ahead and get rid of this 3x and subtract 3x from both sides. And when I do that, 3x minus 3x is 0. 0 plus 2y is 2y, equal a negative 3x minus 8, right? Okay, now I'm going to rewrite this over. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2, okay? And then 2 divided by 2 is 1. 1 times y is y, equal. Now remember, at this point, that's where you want to write this as two separate fractions, because you want to get it into y equals mx plus b. All right, so I get negative 3x divided by 2, so that's negative 3 halves x. Y'all agree? This and this is the same. And then minus 8 divided by 2. Now let's go ahead and simplify 8 divided by 2. So I get y equals, and I cannot reduce the negative 3 halves. So I get negative 3 halves x minus 4. And so now the slope is the coefficient of x, so the slope is a negative 3 halves. and the y-intercept is your constant, which is a -4. All right, and then all you do now is go ahead and graph the line. So this is number 5. So number 5, remember the slope is -3/2, and the y-intercept is -4. Now remember the slope is negative, so your line has to fall, okay? All right, so remember to graph a line, you need 2 points. So you know the y-intercept is -4, so there's one of my points right here. And from that point, I'm going to use the fact that slope is rise over run. And in this case, it's -3 divided by 2. And so my rise is a -3 and my run's a +2. All right, from this point, since my rise is negative, I'm going to go down. So I'm going to go down 3. 1, 2, 3. And my run is a +2, so I'm going to go to the right 2. So 1, 2, 3 down, and into the right 2. 1, 2. So there's your other point. And then all you do now is just draw your line. And then that'll be it. All right, and then don't forget to draw your arrows. Now they ask you to label. Make sure you label properly. So this y-intercept is 0, -4. And then this point here, start at the origin, you go to the right 2, and then down -7. So down 7. So +2 rather. So 2, -7. Okay, and that was number 5. That was number 5. So that is how you're going to graph a line by first finding its slope and y-intercept. And notice that in this topic, the equations are given. So you have to first of all get y by itself, so that's slope-intercept form. So, and then you find the slope and the y-intercept, and then you graph. Okay? All right, so that is going to be the end of this lesson.